Good morning. So today we will compare and contrast the different models of communications, namely the linear models of Shannon and Weaver, the interactive models of Scrum, and the transactional models of Berland. So first we will talk about the linear models of communication. Linear models suggest that communication is a one-way process in which the sender is intentionally transmit the message to the receiver. Although the receiver is included in the model, its role is viewed as more of an endpoint or target rather than an ongoing process. So we really know, guys, we really don't know if the receiver has received the message because again, linear model is a one-way process of communication. See for it, uh, a news reporter as an example. The sender, which is the news reporter, conveyed the message with the use of some camera or other devices as a channel or medium so that the information conveyed will reach the receiver and you, receiver, might decode the messages. And what's make it linear? It is because that the sender doesn't know if the receiver has received the message clearly. And what's important here is that the sender generates the messages smoothly. And you know what, guys? These models, which is the linear models, emphasizes the effectiveness and the clarity of the communications. However, it also acknowledges the barriers of communications, which is the noise or anything that will interrupt the flow of communications. Just please bear in mind that linear model is doesn't mean to have a receiver just to generate the message. It only a one-way process that does not need a feedback. And excuse me. To expand more our understanding, imagine you and your friends are supposedly talking, but your friends are so excited to tell her chicas in life. So you just let yourself listen to her and you just let her talk, 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 and talk. And that showed a linear models of communications because it showed a one-way process of communications. But when you respond with her and talk to her, ug nag-istoryahay na mo, then it showed the second models of communications, which is the interactive models of communications. Interactive models of communications involves a circular movements between two person. So each person can be both the sender and the receiver. So they were able to communicate, incorporating feedbacks as their as their basis of understanding and making the communication a two-way process. So, although the elements of linear model is present in the interactive model, only that it is has a feedback while the linear model does not have. So, so as I noticed, guys, this model highlights the four concepts of communications: the encoding, decoding, interpreting, and the interpreting and the fields of experiences. Excuse me. So encoding is when we send our message, we tend to clarify before sending it because in order for the receiver to receive the messages clearly. And the decoding is when we use our analyzing skills, reading skills, and listening skills for the message that will make sense to us. And interpreting. Interpreting process is up for the feedback, which is the feedback is the basis of understanding. Lastly, the fields of experiences. So, I just noticed most of the time communications may vary depends on the cultures, the environment, the language, the experiences because because experiences can help create a good communications towards people. But always bear in mind, guys, that people have always have a different understanding or different unique ways on how to deal a person or how to deal in communicating process. So to understand more about the interactive model, so let's talk about her. See for it, a debate, right? A debate, one person debating for a topic na ilahang labanan para ilahang idaog kung unsa man ang ilahang gistandan. So diha makita nato ang two-way process of communication. So mao na siya ang interactive interactive model of communications. So now let's go to the transactional models. So transactional models, guys, is based on what I observe, it is more on dynamic. It is most dynamic among three. Apart from the two, it is a notable features that refers which the person is a sender or a receiver as a communicators, which as a communicators that happens to communicate, that happens to communicate. So in order to understand it, in order to understand the transactional, the communicators happens when the person can be both a sender and a receiver. So fundamentally this model uses communications as a transition. Thus, we conclude that communication is a cooperative action in which communicators will create the process, the outcome, and the effectiveness of interaction, which will be done by the feedback. And so unlike the linear, which it sends the message from one person to another, that and we don't know if the receiver has received the messages. And unlike po sa interactive model, which has a feedback to generate or to understand the basic that to understand the communications or the language they use. And this model is a unique way because it is people shared meaning way, most of in a dynamic, in a simultaneous way. And and in this model, to know, like in the interactive model, uh, it also has the fields of experiences. And mo na ang ilang kaparehas sa interactive models ug ang transactional models. Because sa transactional models, people tend to use or to use or to overlap their understanding, like in the culture, in the language, in the environment, or in the over even in the mood, right? Magkakonekta gyud ta dihan dapita. Say for some example ha, para mas masabtan nato that ang transactional model. Transactional model daw is, see for it, me and my friends are living in a rural area. So considered we are quite the same because we are the same culture, environment, language. So we are some point of always na magka-interact, always magka-connect, o ang communication namo is dali ra because we shared our cultures and our language, our environment the same. So mao na siya, guys, if to expand ang transactional kay if we use experiences in communicating, then the communications will create a good flowing communication. So that's all. Thank you so much. Goodbye.